Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Yeah, GameStop, let's talk about it. Let's take a look at the option flow. Let's take a look at the chart. Let's take a look at the impact of yesterday's press release shortly after the close, where GameStop announced proposed private offering of 1.3 billion of convertible senior notes. And that was the headline that came shortly after the close yesterday and kind of gave a lot of those gains back that we saw within the stock. We're going to take a look at the option flow and take a look at the chart. We'll take a look at what happened yesterday, what was traded, extremely large day as of for the option chain. And net call premium. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at those April and June. Let's see what changed in the open interest. I know there's been a lot of, I saw a lot online, a lot of misinformation regarding this, the convertible senior notes and this private offering. And I'm going to put out some information today that I would highly encourage everyone to read a little bit more about private offering if you're not familiar with it, or if you just want kind of a, just a generic rundown of what that means. Because there's a lot of misinformation around this subject, especially after yesterday's press release. And I'd be happy to kind of clear the air in that regard and make sure we're getting you, the most accurate information. I mean, the reality of these notes are they're unsecured obligations, so they're not going to bear any regular interest, and the principal amounts of the notes will not accrete. So basically, institutional investors they usually jump into convertible bonds because they can be exchanged for equity in the company at a later date, and that's that particular conversion of the feature of those notes eventually basically helps the debt holders participate in the equity upside upon conversion. So, for example, institution buys this on the idea GameStop will move up, then they obviously would convert their bond and convert these notes into shares, which at that point would increase the shares outstanding for GameStop. So definitely something that I think's had a kind of a mixed reaction. I think long term, Bitcoin being added to the GameStop balance sheet is kind of something. I mean, at least by social media, that seemed to be a very positive thing. A lot of people wanted that, and then they got what they wanted, and then the feelings changed with yesterday's press release. So that is what it is, and you're just gonna have to follow along if that's something you're into. Um, I mean, companies do it, and we saw this kind of foreshadowed with that photo of Michael Saylor and Ryan Cohen back in February. So it's kind of hinted at that. But that was kind of something that had gone down yesterday, shortly after the close. And I know I got a lot of people upset because it was right around the time. If we take a look yesterday, now this is just as of the close. So, we had a nice strong gap up. We got almost to the 50, closed above the 50, closed above the 200. Just a nice setup when it came to volume. But if I turn on extended hour trading data, we can see this morning we gave up most of that in trading just below the 50. So the 50 day at 25.61, if you look there in your top left corner of the chart, you can take a look at that. 25.61. Here's the levels we're looking at today. 25.61. The 9 EMA is 25.19. The 200 SMA at 24.97. And the 21 day EMA 24.82. So something to keep in mind. Let me resume take off that zoom feature there. I mean, it looked good from a technical standpoint. A nice solid move. Now, granted, after a large move like that, you're going to see some of that gain come back. It's just the hype wears off, the volatility comes down, option traders buy and sell their positions, and that's what happens. So incredible volume, but like I said, it kind of got wiped out. We saw this last year in May, around the same time the stock was heading out, breaking out of some technicals. We saw three stock offerings. I mean, it happens. They took advantage of the situation, and that's their job to run the company. AMC has done the same thing. Every time the stock moves up, they were in a position to offer shares. They certainly did, and they were gobbled up. So, situation here at GameStop is no different in that regard, except they went with a little bit different route. And again, they're going to use the let's see, GameStop expects to use the net proceeds from the offering for general corporate purposes, including the acquisition of Bitcoin in a manner consistent with their new investment policy. So, but let's take a look at that. What yesterday, without this news, wow, that was incredible. But yesterday's news really, boom, stopped that momentum pretty hard in that regard. At least for the price action. I'm looking at it as we record ahead of open. down 9.91%, trading at 25, still above the 50-day. And just remember, the stock couldn't break above 23 or 24. So it's 25. They had less sales this quarter than they did a year ago. I mean, collectibles did increase. They returned to higher net income, but sales were down. So the stock's still trading where it is. I think that's a good. I think you're seeing mixed reaction to the headline yesterday. But if we look at that net call premium yesterday, 10.66 million. We've not seen this large of a net call premium. The net premium for the day was 11.9, but the net call premium was actually 10.66 mil. So we've not seen this for quite some time. Like if we go back just even the last 30 days, as price was slipping down to 21, 22. I mean, net call premium was flat. The put premium was kind of up. We saw a little bit there on Monday ahead of earnings, and then boom, yesterday. I mean, at one point it was 13.5 almost a net call premium. Like I said, that goes all the way back to last summer. So if I scroll all the way down, I'm going to go back. Let's see on my whales here. I can just go back. Oh, goodness. I can go back 90 days here just on the quick chart, and I can look it up on my old posts as well. But just an incredible large day there in regards to that net premium. 11.9. Total open interest grew as well, and the volatility around 72%. So I'm going to we're going to zoom in right here. These are your highest volume contracts traded on Wednesday. You had the 30s for this week, 29s for this week, 30s for April 4th, 28 puts for this week, 29.50 calls, 27 puts, 29 puts, which all the 28s, 27, 29 all just went in the money at these prices. So did the 27.5 put and the 26 put. A lot of short dated expiry. And then you've got some of the April 4th. So we take a look at like the 35 calls for April 4th. See, there was some premium there yesterday. If you look, about 550,000 in total option premium. 12,000 volume, about 3,600 carried over at open interest. But quite a bit of a bid and ask. So quite a bit of buyers and sellers. I would assume some buying down here around 30. Selling up here at 66, selling here, and yeah, I mean the 35. If you don't think GameStop's going to 35 by April 4th, you could sell those, collect a nice premium because the volatility on those yesterday, the IV was 113%, so the premium's up, but not a lot of change there to the open interest. So, and kind of the momentum, kind of the wind is gone from the sales. From the sale today with the price action, but that doesn't mean allow traders to reposition, absorb the news, and then see what GameStop does in regards to the notes, and then moving forward. So like the $30 calls yesterday, albeit you saw a lot of volume, 72,000 volume. You saw 4 million and over 4 million in total premium, pretty large for a short dated expiry there for slightly out of the money, but it was almost at the money. But of the 72,000 volume, only 3,700 appeared in new open interest today. Yesterday, these were split. 30,000 bid, 33,000 asked. What that means is a combination of buyers and sellers. So at the same time, folks were buying, they were also selling, they were scalping, buying down here at 40, selling at 90. Some selling at 90 and riding it all the way down, and then covering and closing these positions. These contracts trade hands throughout the day, so you see a large amount of volume, 72,000, but not a large change in open interest. Really confirms that, like I said, the contracts traded hands. And that was 4 million on those just alone. And same scenario with the $29 calls for this week. You had $3 million in option premium yesterday, 35,000 contracts traded, but only 1,000 in new open interest. That's not exactly what you want to see. This is day trading. This is covered call selling. This is covered call buying back to close. This is buying calls here. Boom, moves up on volatility and closing. This is day trading. This is option trading. This is taking gains, cutting your losers quickly. So you're seeing that happen. The IV on those yesterday was 93%, and it spiked up. So, I mean, the day before was 167%, and then boom, the high yesterday, 147. So, for example, I mean, these were, let's see, $29 calls. They expire tomorrow. If you don't think GameStop's going to move back above 29 and didn't mind, the risk of losing your shares at 29, these were filling for $132 a contract. So right here, for example, this particular trader probably sold a few for about 100 grand. And as long as GameStop doesn't close above 29, they're going to pocket 100 grand on a couple day trade. Not too bad. not too shabby. Just know there's people short, people long the stock, people sell calls, people buy calls, people buy puts, people sell puts. There's many different ways. And like those $28 puts, those started coming in yesterday. You can see about 27,000 volume, nearly 2 million in total option premium, but about 5,000 of those did appear in new open interest. So if we take a look, again, kind of split between buyers and sellers. There was some mid fill there as well. Probably some with the multi-leg 6%. So some of those trades might have been attached to other option chains as well in that regard, other strike, other expiry. But again, those 28s are going to move up at this current closing or at these current prices. So, depending on what you were in, there's people trading the volatility, people trading to make money. I mean, you could have sold the puts on the 25th, bought them back yesterday for the low. Because, for example, let's say you were kind of bullish short term on the earnings, right? So you might have sold some on, say, Tuesday. They were filling for $300, and you could have bought them back Wednesday morning at 75. Incredible overnight trade there, for those that were bullish on the stock and sold puts. So there's many different ways, and if you're interested, let me know down in the replies. I'd always like to do a deep dive on options trading, because a lot of people are just like, hey, buy calls, buy puts, but there's so much more to it than just that. I'd love to, walk through with you. So here's your top, like I said, your top volumes today. You're welcome to pause, take a screenshot, take a look at that, and we're going to look at where was the actual money. Where did that money, how was that derived yesterday during trading? So we're going to pull up here our unusual whales option screener, and we're going to go ahead and sort this by premium. So you can see the top column here. So quite a few of the strikes had a million plus premium attached to them. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but I'll let you take a look because some of them are repetitive. But we see a lot of those traders were positioning for the April and June. We talked about that. My man Bronx Viking had talked about the positioning for April and June, and you're seeing some of that. And we're going to take a look at the open interest. So, for example, some of that positioning for the $28 calls in June, they had popped from from Tuesday into yesterday, but they're going to fade quickly at the open. Not quickly because they have some time attached to them, and the IV is only 81%, but a lot of that's, was selling. So you've got 5,200 volume yesterday on the 28 calls for June. 4,100 appeared new open interest. That's kind of what you want to see. But see this? A lot more at the bid than the ask, which would suggest more selling than buying. More sold to open than buying to open. Traders playing volatility. Traders may not mind. For example, let's say that I wanted to sell these $20 calls for June. Let's say I sold them at, $550 a piece. So that essentially, if they're $28 call, but I've already received $550 up front, that actually is going to make my cost basis essentially only $22.50 a share. So if I don't mind the GameStop share, if GameStop were to go, 28 or higher by June 20th, I may not necessarily mind losing my shares at $28 once you factor in the premium. So you always have to take that in consideration. There's many types of traders amongst all the stocks, especially with GameStop. You've got a lot of experienced traders that are long the stock with common shares and have deployed cover call strategies to generate income on their position. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what's great about Wall Street is you are open to trade any way that you want, short, long, positioning, through options or not. That's up to you, entirely up to you. But that's kind of the take there. Why, for example, you would sell those calls. A big sell here, 500,000. Just take some premium and then let the position see what happens. Because you have to factor in, if you sell that, say you sold the one call and you got $550, you're up 550. If GameStop closes at 28, you're going to lose 100 shares and they'll get filled at $28. That may not be a concern for these particular traders. I don't know their situation. I'm just kind of giving you like the example of the why they would do that. Same scenario with the $30 calls for April 17th. You could buy here and then you played the volatility. So, just yesterday, those were 120 in the morning and then moved all the way up to about 230. So about $100 move. But again, if you didn't think GameStop was closing above 30 by April, you could capture that high premium, $234 contract, and that puts you around 27.60ish per share. So yeah, you got to kind of take that in consideration. Now that's the stock's trading at 25.74. So for anybody that sold these calls, for example, yesterday, they're going to have a little bit more of a reward today as the stock moved down. But that's just what you see, and I've highlighted this since last year when Kitty came back, when all the call sellers came in, and who are just they're not necessarily trading GameStop, they're just trading GameStop volatility. Around earnings, you see it all the time. Like the 29s had 3 mil, the 28s for June 2.5 mil total premium, 2 mil premium on the 30s. We just talked about those 30s for January. Again, another scenario. Let's pull up here the actual volume. Take a look here. I'm getting lagged out. What's happening here? Okay, 2 million premium yesterday, 2,400 volume, but open interest decreased 562. So we kind of lost some open interest there. 59% at the ask. I'm not sure why my data is not appearing here. I know I had some internet issues in the office yesterday, but I'm not really sure what was happening there. We'll have to come back to that. Everything still looks good on my end, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening there. And I want to pull up here the open interest changes here. I want to see what changed in regards like your largest changes in open interest, because what you saw a lot of volume yesterday across AMC, or pardon me, across GME, you didn't necessarily see that appear in new open interest today. So let's take a look here. We're going to sort that by changes to open interest here. Make sure we got the largest changes here. So here's your biggest increases to open interest. Here's the column right here. And then here are your strikes and expiry. So the 30s for April, 27 puts. For this week, 27.5 puts. So I know there were some put sellers yesterday, and there were also put buyers. So we take a look yesterday. Let's see. Oh, that's why my numbers were off, because the market, I'm still recording this, but the market just opened. I do apologize. So we had 25,100 yesterday, 7,500 appeared new open interest, and the low yesterday on those was 16, and the high is 195 already this morning. Let me put the 2-day on, because we're actually looking at live option flows. So those traders were loading 27 puts short date at $22. Some of those just got filled at $154, literally as I was recording the video. So here are your other changes there in that regard. You can pause, take a screenshot. That way you can come back to it, because now we're getting into live data here. So let me take a look here this morning. We'll pull back up the net flow real quick. I was trying to get this out to you before the open and before new data started pouring in, but I couldn't do it, and for that I do apologize. So 26, so back over 25, so it's 26 down to 8 points. This morning, now you're seeing that premium come out. We're running to the hills. Oh, look at these $5 puts. Take a look at that. Already this morning, $5 puts for January 2027. A sweep, 55,000, selling them. That's cool. That's cool. See, 26 puts, I'm sure they were coming out already this morning. Let's see, 26 or 26.27. So yeah, already some volume this morning. 23 and about 150,000 in premiums. So you're getting a little bit of a glimpse this morning. 28 calls, 30 calls already hitting the tape this morning. 26s and 30s. Then those 30s for April is showing up again this morning. And you can see the bid they're selling right there. 39. So let's see, what were they yesterday? So they tanked. So those up there, 155. So the call sellers that were selling these 30s yesterday, they just banked, especially if they're buying them back this morning to close. So that's just kind of how that goes. So we'll take a look at that. The flow during the day. Let's see. Net premium is coming out. Yeah, I mean, they're taking profits. Let's see. Net put premium is running up now, 200,000. See how the puts are coming in. Calls coming out. Money coming off the table. Let's see the 27 puts today already. They shot up. Yeah, 140. So they were filling yesterday. I saw these coming in around $18, $16, and they just touched 140 this morning. So it's nothing wrong with playing the stock, up or down. You can't always be bullish. You can't always be bearish. Try to just follow the price, the volume. If you can check your emotions and your bias at the door, you can make a lot more money on this particular stock. So I'm not married to a stock anyway. It doesn't matter to me long term about any stock because I'm not married to my positions. I'm usually actively trading. And that's just me though. Everybody's got their own style, their own agenda. So we'll take a look back into this. Let's pull up the chart though now that we're in a new day. Come back and wiped out that gap up off that with the volume yesterday over 53 million. But we're still trading higher than we were ahead of earnings. Let's see on the 25th. So that had been Tuesday before earnings. Let's see the high was 25.77 and currently trading at 25.47 right there at your 50-day moving average 25.57. And you've got today the 200-day moving average. I'm looking over there in your top left corner at 24.98. So use that top left corner. Use those numbers as your reference point today. Volume and price action always determine everything, as well as the option flow. So I'll check back in on the flow later today. And if you like these videos, just let me know down in the reply to say, hey, put out a new video on Friday. And I'll know you watched today's video all the way through. Kind of be expected there after a big earnings gap up. But let's see what it does. Give it some time. Nobody wanted GameStop down here at 22. I mean, I know a lot of people did. I'm not going to say when or where. I loaded calls for April. Yeah, I look for RSI reset and buy some time. That's what I did. So, but when nobody wanted it at 22, they didn't have a problem running out the window and chasing it at 29 yesterday. So, you see that with Tesla too. You see it with other stocks. Nobody wanted the dip, but then they, chase at all-time high. It's psychology. That's why I say if you can check those emotions, you're going to be able to make more money on Wall Street. That's just a fact. But the psychology of emotion runs very high, especially because it's your money. You worked hard for it. It should be high, but you have to check it. You have to keep it in check. I mean, anything above, as far as I'm concerned, anything over that 200-day moving average, is a solid. That's why we saw that kind of technical setup that occurred, and boom, then you got the volume with the earnings. So now you're kind of back down here over 25. A lot of people like the stock can't get back to 25. Well, here it is. So we'll just continue to watch it. You monitor it. You watch the volume, watch the press release. We'll continue to watch the option flow. I'll continue to post, which is what I do. I'll continue to post these videos, whether one person watches it or 100 people watch it. But speaking of watching the videos, I know, would you guys like to see these on YouTube also as opposed to X? I do have old YouTube channels. I know some of you know I used to be on YouTube quite often. I worked with a lot of big companies. One of my tech channels had over 100,000 subscribers. I did vlogging. I think that has over 60,000 subscribers, but they've been inactive channels. So if that's something you guys think I should do, let me know down in the reply to this video. Hey, dude, what's up with the YouTube? Let's see it. So, because for example, I take a look at see if we can pull some of the analytics here for these video or for the video. Let's just say yesterday, just so I can take a look. So I'm just curious here how that pans out. Let's see here. View post engagements. I thought I did that. Can I not see it here? Oh, maybe I need to go to the actual post itself. Let's see here. I can see that. Maybe because I quote tweeted it. Hang on just a second here. I'll tell you, X sometimes is different when you're on desktop versus like mobile, for example. I'm not sure. I feel like our internet's being silly today. We had switched our gig service and modems and routers and all. No, not really. I'm a tech guy. I went to college for 6 years for 4 college degrees in information systems networking and a bachelor's and master's in computer science. I know, and I get caught up too. But I just wanted to check that just so I could finish my last. Okay, so here we go. Now I can check the analytics here. So 26,000 impressions. I thought I'd clock the video views. Here we go. See, that's why I was trying to look for the audience retention. It starts out strong, but then within a couple of minutes of the video, 1%, only 1% made it halfway through. And I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm still going to make them regardless. But I really would encourage those to actually watch this. I share incredible amounts of alpha within the video, like personal ideas, things I'm trading, just to try to help you make more money and lose less money. So I really encourage. It's it's not frustrating. It's just like you think people are watching it based on, the 26,000 impressions and the engagements. But you actually look at it, I'm not retaining my audience. And whether that's too long a video, they don't need to be on X, that's where I need some feedback from y'all. So you have to let me know about that. But that's just kind of interesting to see. I do have all of these videos I've made are all sitting on my YouTube channel unlisted, so they could go live at any time. So that'd be something you guys could let me know if that's what you're interested in. But I've rattled on enough. Let's get trading. Let's get looking. Let's see GameStop 25. It might lose at 25, especially with the bearish flow and just racing to the hills to get rid of their calls and slam the puts. It happens. So we'll take a look. I'll wrap up the option flow later on today. We'll take a look at it. I don't think anything lost. Just look for your moving averages. You know where the stock has been prior to the news. Had the GameStop earnings, not included Bitcoin or not included, the higher net income, you might have already seen the reaction you're seeing today from that earnings. You may never even saw the move up, but that's what it was. So, but yeah, I hope you all have a great day. We'll continue to look at it. It's not a big deal. But let me know. Send me a message, drop a reply. If you watch it all the way through, you're awesome. You are part of that 1%. I know it's a long video, but I made it. I got time. You got time. 24 hours in a day. It's all how you use it. But I hope you all have a fabulous day, and I'll see you around the internet very, very soon.